What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
Jalen Ramsey has asked for a trade from the Miami Dolphins, the three-time All-Pro corner. Him and the Dolphins will mutually seek a trade. Now, obviously, the New Orleans Saints have come up quickly in conversation for many trying to predict Ramsey's next landing spot. Obviously, the Saints need a corner. Look, you have Alontae Taylor. You have Kool-Aid McKinstry. You traded Marshawn Lattimore during the season. Paulson Adebo walked in free agency. He's a New York Giant now. So you have two pretty good corners in your starting lineup. Two things. One, you have nobody behind those two guys. And Alontae Taylor has played a lot more in the slot in his NFL career than he has as a true outside corner. He's done it in college, but as far as the Saints go, he's a lot more comfortable in that slot nickel role. So I do think you need a corner. When you look at Jalen Ramsey and the New Orleans Saints, there are a lot of connections. Okay, when Brandon Staley was with the Los Angeles Rams, Jalen Ramsey was there. He had one of his best seasons as a pro. Brandon Staley has credited Jalen Ramsey. He said he's one of the biggest reasons why he got the Los Angeles Chargers coaching job after just 1 year as Rams defensive coordinator. He has a lot of respect for a guy like Jalen Ramsey. On the flip side of things, when the Saints announced that they were hiring Brandon Staley as their next defensive coordinator, Jalen Ramsey retweeted it. He said, "My guy." He put the fire emoji. Like, these two certainly like each other. They have a lot of respect for each other. They would probably like to reunite. Should the Saints want it? Obviously, Jalen Ramsey has been a great player in this league for a number of years. He's a little bit past his prime, though. He's old for his position, but he can still play a little. Like, if you look at his numbers from a year ago, he started all 17 games. He had 2 interceptions, 60 total tackles. Like, he had a good year. He had a sack. But he's 31 years old. He's moved around a little bit, and I think the Dolphins would ask too much in return to get it. And the Saints don't have anything to give up. What would they be willing to give up for him? Hopefully nothing. I say don't make this move. Again, Miami's going to ask a lot. You don't have much to give up. I definitely think you need a cornerback, just not an aging guy who's on the wrong side of 30, who's a high price, who you're going to have to trade for and probably give up a lot asset-wise. Now, I don't think that this cornerback class in the upcoming NFL draft is especially deep. Look, I really like Will Johnson. I'd be okay if the Saints took him at 9. I think you need a corner that bad. I like Jedi Barron from Texas. I think he's a really good player. Those two guys seem like they're both going to go in the first round. Outside of that, I mean, you certainly have talent. I think it's a big drop-off, though. I mean, Siobhan Revel's been a guy that's been talked about. He's kind of a fringe first-round player out of East Carolina. You have Trey Amos from Ole Miss. He had kind of an up-and-down college career, certainly made some plays. He was on a bad defense at Ole Miss, but, I mean, he stood out at times. Maxwell Hairston at Kentucky, again, on a pretty bad defense. Made some flash plays. At times didn't look so great. Now, Maxwell Hairston was the fastest player at the NFL Combine, so he does have that going for him. I think whether it's Amos, Revel, Maxwell Hairston, I think one of those guys could be there at 40. So maybe even if you don't grab a Will Johnson or a Jedi Barron in the first round, you could get a solid quality corner at 40. Do I think any of those guys are game changers? No, at least not their rookie season. At least not from what I've seen from any of them. Look, again, Hairston, fastest player at the Combine. Trey Amos, solid player in the SEC. Both of those guys have SEC starting experience. That means a lot to someone like me. And then Siobhan Revel, yeah, he was at East Carolina, but he's a guy that continues to rise up draft boards. A lot of teams really like his potential at the next level. They're all options. I wouldn't call them home runs, but they're solid additions. The problem comes in, what if you don't want to invest a first or second round pick in a cornerback? Again, I think there's a big drop-off between Johnson and Barron and those three. After those first 5, though, I think there's a huge drop-off to the next guy. I like Zy Alexander. He's had some injury concerns. I think he's a guy that you could get, round 4 potentially. Other than him, though, who do you have? Dorian Strong from Virginia Tech. I mean, he's a fine player. I don't know if he's a day one starter in the NFL. So if you're the Saints and you don't want to spend a first or second round pick on a corner, you might say, hey, go after a guy like Jalen Ramsey. And I get it. But again, what are you willing to give up? I think you're going to have to give up a pick somewhere in rounds 2 or 3 and possibly a player as well. And that hasn't been reported. I'm just spitballing here. That's just kind of what we've seen from similar players of Jalen Ramsey's stature. I think Jalen Ramsey's got, 2 years of good football left in him, but you'd have to take on his big contract. You'd have to give up assets to get him. I don't know if you can afford to do that right now. Like, if you're the Saints, you want to get younger. You don't want to bring in a 31-year-old cornerback with a big contract. You already have guys like that. You already have aging players on big contracts. Why would you want to add to that? If you're Mickey Loomis, you love doing it, but, why would you want to add another old player on a big contract? I personally would draft a corner in this upcoming NFL draft. But even if they don't, what about free agency? There's some guys out there, and they'd probably be cheaper than Jalen Ramsey, and they're free agents. You wouldn't have to give up anything for them. As far as the guys that are available at the cornerback position that are relatively young, Shaquille Griffin's out there. He was with Minnesota last year. He's had an up and down NFL career, but if you want to add a veteran, he made $4.5 million last year. He's an affordable option. Emmanuel Mosley's out there. Asante Samuel Jr. was with the Chargers last year. He made $1.8 million. That's an option. Now, C.J. Henderson, big name. He's played in some big games. He didn't play football last year. He made over $5 million in Pittsburgh, didn't play. He's only 26 years old, but is that a guy you like? Is that a guy you can bring in? Now, again, he's been out of football for a year, but what could you do with a guy like that? Outside of that, though, what do you have? Trayvon Mullen, who's been a disappointment. Kendall Sheffield hasn't lit the world on fire. Caleb Farley from the Panthers, he's been a disappointment. You kind of get the point. There's some guys out there, you don't really have any game changers, whether it's free agency or the draft. But I do like the first 4 to 5 options in this corner spot. I don't think it's a deep class. However, I think it's top heavy. If you can land one of those 4 or 5 corners and then include Zy Alexander in there as well, I like that. So there's 5 to 6 guys you'd maybe be happy with. I think they're going to have to draft a corner in this class. None of those free agents I named move the needle at all for me. And then if you're the Saints, you're going to have to give up multiple assets to get Jalen Ramsey coming in, who's 31 years old, so he's on the wrong side of 30, and you're going to have to take on his contract. I don't know if you want to do that. I certainly do not. We'll see what they decide to do. And look, Jalen Ramsey, great player, right? He's been a 3-time first-team All-Pro. He was Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's been to 7 Pro Bowls in his career. Jalen Ramsey can play. How much longer can he play at that level? What are you willing to give up for him? We'll see. If I'm the Saints, I say no thanks. But if you're desperate enough for a corner, keep an eye on this. This may be a move that the Saints feel that they have to make.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.